You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible.
All right, folks, let's talk about Baltimore. Remember, it was a year ago when we had a pastor from Baltimore right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered who was at the White House, who spoke, who stood next to Donald Trump when he announced the opportunity zones. He talked about what that was going to mean for cities like Baltimore, investment in those areas. A year later, that pastor has said nothing has happened. Not a single dime has come into the area that he's been focused on, and he is not happy about it. He is frustrated. But remember, I told you this was going to happen, and I said we'll see what happens. Joseph Pinion, here's what is interesting. Trump keeps touting opportunity zones, but here's a black pastor who stood next to him who says nothing has happened a year later. This man lies and lies, and you got to ask the question, what the hell?
Look, I think we have to separate the two issues from the president's unfortunate inability to tell the truth and what's happening right now with the opportunity zones. I think realistically, opportunity zones represent a tremendous opportunity, this once in a generational time for us as people of color to actually reinvest in our own communities. I think what's transpiring right now is this disconnect between people thinking that there is somebody coming to save them once again. That's not what's happening. And realistically, the only places where, quote unquote, people are going to be coming to save people with opportunity zones are places where there's a ton of money to be made. That's New York City. That's Miami. That's D.C. There are places where there are people who don't look like us who can come there and make a lot of money. But for places like Baltimore, for places, like rural America, for places like Rochester and Buffalo, New York, we have an opportunity to invest in our own communities, to grow our own wealth. And I think that is something that has not been communicated clearly to people of color. And I think that is ultimately why you have people like this pastor, you have people all over America saying, I hear the opportunity, but I don't see any results.
Mustafa, this is no shock. Again, I told folks, beware of the Donald Trump black photo op. HBCU presidents, happened to them. Now it's happened to these black folks with opportunity zones. He's running around talking about Baltimore, trashing Baltimore, and he's done nothing.
You sure did tell folks, and they should have listened. And they should have also listened to that old quote that says that when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Donald Trump has never invested in our communities unless there was something that he was getting out of it. And the thing that's really interesting is that the president, when he is actually in his office, is in Washington, D.C. He's like 30 minutes away from Baltimore, has never went up to Baltimore since he's been president to see what's going on. You know, he lives inside this billionaire bubble. And inside that billionaire bubble, he keeps forgetting that his policies are actually the ones that are damaging Baltimore. So we need to have some real talk about what's really going on. So in each one of his budgets that he's introduced, he has done nothing to build anything up and everything to destroy the basic infrastructure that's in place. He's cut the budgets on HUD that would help with affordable housing in each one of those budgets that he sent forward on. And luckily, there were men and women of good conscience who pushed back against that on Capitol Hill, although they should have pushed back a little harder. When it comes to the environmental laws that have been put in place, he has done nothing but roll those back. So the folks who are there who are breathing that dirty, toxic air and the lead that's there, he's done nothing to help to alleviate any of those situations whatsoever.
Amisha, this is very simple. He says one thing, he does another. It's no shock he's done nothing. And all those people, I keep telling these black people, y'all can keep getting played every time y'all stand next to Donald Trump, but you're going to get played eventually. Hashtag we tried to tell you.
The thing that people have to realize is that Donald Trump keeps the promises, the campaign promises that he wants to keep. Clearly, all of the ones that he made to the black population, he does not care about. He campaigned on fixing cities like Baltimore. He campaigned on the fact that Democratic-held large cities, urban centers across the country. The problem was the fact that they had Democratic leadership. And now that he was going to be president, he was going to take care of them. And we haven't seen that come through. What we have seen is him take away a lot of the things that they need to survive. We're watching the major cuts at food stamps. We're watching him make it harder for people to get Medicaid. We're watching him take from the Department of Education. We're watching all of these things happen. He doesn't care about Baltimore. He's never cared about Baltimore, except to the extent that his son-in-law became even more wealthy off of putting people up in these slumlord homes. It's an issue that is frustrating, but it's also one that we have to look at the source. Donald Trump finds it very hard to tell the truth about anything, but he also has something to gain here. He is attacking Elijah Cummings because Congressman Cummings is also the chair of, guess what, the committee that is in charge of looking into his tax returns. This is part of a much larger scheme, and he's using racialized codes and a lot of racial language to upset people and to ignite his base. That's what he's doing.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, you heard me talk a lot about marijuanastock.org because I want to keep you informed of investment opportunities that make sense. We've all watched the growth of the cannabis industry. A recent report by New Frontier Data estimates the global cannabis market at more than $340 billion. We know that marijuana legalization is sweeping the country state by state. We also know that marijuana has a good cousin, the hemp plant, with a much higher concentration of CBD. That means hemp gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the United States and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, the 2018 Farm Bill changed all of that, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S. and creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. They need land to grow all of the plants. Folks, it's real simple. Now, our good friends at 420 Real Estate, their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords, and you can get in on the action. Now, 420 Real Estate has decided to do something special for the Roland Martin Unfiltered family. Originally, the minimum investment level was $500, but right now you can invest in the crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200. That's right, as little as $200 up to $10,000. Again, this is a $340 billion worldwide industry that is still growing, and you can participate with as little as $200. To invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.